Hey guys, my main hard drive crashed and I realize it's been a while since I posted a video, so I want to do something. But since that main hard drive has a lot of my video editing software on it, a lot of the video files that I was going to use for my next videos, I just thought I'd come out here today and do some really short basic videos, really simple editing, just demonstrating some primitive skills. First thing I'll start with today is fire starting. To be honest, I haven't done a friction fire since my wilderness survival class in college, so I thought that would be a good skill to refresh. We're not that far from a road. We are in a pretty big mountain wilderness, but the main road isn't that far away. I'm not going to be pretending like I'm out in the middle of nowhere or anything. I got a road and a car right here, but I don't know anything about this area. I do have my cell phone on me. I brought a multi-tool, but just to mix things up, I'm not going to use the multi-tool. I'll show all of my process as I go, and I do have my keys with me as well. So I was going to do just like I got out of my car and whatever I had on me, I just wander away and that's what I have. But I'm going to try not to use the multi-tool, and if I do use it, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, let's see if we can get a friction fire with just what I have on me walking out of the car. Alright, so one of the first things I'm noticing is the amount of flies. I was thinking mosquitoes would be a problem, but it's actually the flies that are incredibly thick. So it's just one of those things that it doesn't seem to be like a problem or something that you'd think about when you think wilderness survival, but it can drive you crazy a little bit. At least in the first, couple hours, and then you get used to it. It's not a big deal. You just kind of feel them crawling all over you. But I don't know this area very well. But the first thing I'm going to be looking for is dead wood, as well as something to cut with, since I'm not going to use the knife that I have on my multi-tool. A lot of wilderness survival shows, they'll be like, all I have is a knife. Well, a knife is incredibly useful. So I'm going to try not to have that, not to use it at all. If I do, I'll let you know. And then, yeah, let's see if I can find some dead wood. Ideally, I wouldn't need any tools, and I can get the results I want from the dead wood, as far as a drill and a fireboard. So I'm going to be using a bowdrill to try and get the fire going. As you can see, we're in an aspen forest. It is mixed in with some big conifers. Everything is still a little damp from last night. There was a rain, but it's not like it's been raining constantly for weeks. So I don't think I should have too much trouble finding some fairly dry wood. Looks like somebody's been out here chopping this up already. Again, like I said, it's not too far from the road. But a lot of these pieces I think will work out pretty well. So I'm looking for something, first and foremost, whatever it is, I need it to be as dry as possible. It's just going to make your life so much more harder if it's not super dry. So these are better because these are off the ground and they're underneath a canopy. So even if it did rain last night, these should be much drier than this stuff on the ground here. Whenever you're breaking wood, you want to look away, because the last thing you want is some splinters in your eye in the middle of nowhere. But I've got some nice straight wood to work with, and I can always shave this down. I think this should do just fine. Now I've got to find my fireboard. I see another pile of wood over there that looks promising. So I'm going to make my way over there. Holy cow. This wood is so rotted, you just sink right into it. Just pulls right out. Okay, I'm going to see if some of these branches over here. Jeez. Holy cow, I think I'm going to fall right through this whole log. I'm going to see if some of these branches here are still intact enough. Yeah, see the trunk itself is pretty rotted away, but these branches are still pretty solid and a lot more dry than this trunk here. It's just like a sponge holding on to all that water. So now I just need to find something sharp to cut these down to the shape I want them to be. I just came across this as well. This is a nice straight pine tree that's fallen down. It is on the ground, but it's slightly elevated. It looks fairly dry. It's another good potential candidate for a fire drill. I'm going to stick with what I got though off of that tree because it's up off the ground. I think it'll be a little bit more dry. Okay, I dropped off my fire drill and a couple of potential branches for fireboard. Now I'm going to try and find something sharp so I can shape these things down. And there's not like a great deal of obsidian around here, so it's not like I'm going to have this razor sharp edge to be able to work with. But I should be able to find something that I can at least spend a good long time to cut these things down with and shape them how I want them to be. I'm not sure what this is from. Maybe they were moving some material away from this path as they were building it. There are a couple of stones in here. That one's got a decent edge. Again, there's not no obsidian, but very little obsidian or flint around here. So I seriously doubt I would be that lucky. So I'm just going to take what I can get. These two should work. So this is, I gotta imagine it's going to take me forever cutting this thing down, but practice makes perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and start processing this. I want you guys to know that I'm just using this. I'm not using the multi-tool I have with me. So I'll go ahead and do a time lapse of this, and you can watch it get processed in just a few seconds. All right, let me show you what I've got so far. So one thing I've been learning is that with these rocks, you can't slice, you can't cut away material, you have to chop it away. So it's been taking a lot of grip strength, a lot more grip strength than I thought it would to do that. I can see why primitive people would make hatchets and stuff, because it's a lot easier to use that to grab onto that and use that than it is to grab around the rock, and especially when you've been chopping for like half hour. So this core might present a problem. I think I'll be okay. It's not the finest tip in the world, but the problem I'm running into now is, let me see if I can change the focus here. The problem I'm running into now is it's too long, because ideally you want to, if this were my fireboard, I want to step on it, get down in here like this, and then apply these flies. Apply pressure downward while I'm running my my bow drill here. And I just realized that I don't have a bow, but it'll be pretty easy to find one. But what I need to do now is cut this down, and that's going to be kind of tough because it's going to take forever to chop through it to cut it down to the exact right size I want. So I might want to see if I can try and step on this and get some leverage and break it away without destroying this whole piece. We'll see. I do have a little saw on my multi-tool that I would love to use, but again, I'm going to try and avoid that because I think I can get better practice if I don't use the multi-tool at all. So right now I'm wandering around in the forest trying to find something that I can use to break this fire drill down just a little bit more, and to break it more precisely so that I don't ruin the whole thing. Just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking if I have something really large, a big old stone somewhere, I can either jam it under and try and use leverage to break it free, or maybe I can find one that's kind of medium sized that I can drop down on that between the big stone and another hard surface and try and shatter it. But there's not. This is going to take a while to find. Looks like there used to be a road here, and they've kind of chopped it up so that nobody would use it anymore. And there are some stones in it. Maybe I can find one big enough. Alright, I think I found some potential here. Here's a pretty big rock, and there's another one. I think if I position this between the two, I can drop one on the other and hopefully break it where I need to. Let's try it out. Well, this stone had a major ant colony underneath it, so I'm going to have to shake off all these ants first. That did the trick. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. That's about exactly the size I want it to be. So that should be perfect for me, for my drill. So get back to chopping. Unfortunately, one problem I've noticed already with this fire drill is it's not perfectly straight. So when you rotate it on its axis, it tends to wobble back and forth. See, it's off to your right there and it's off to your left there. So really you just want it perfectly straight. This section right here, that would be perfectly straight. So I think I might cut this down again, hike all the way back to my chopping rock and try and cut that down, and then we can have a nice perfectly straight fire drill. That's what I was afraid of. It's starting to split a little bit down the middle. Here's what I have so far for the fire drill. I've been spending the better part of the morning just on this piece. That's probably why a lot of survival shows do it with just a knife, even though I think a knife alone is an incredibly useful tool. As you can see, you don't spend all day on a single piece of a bow drill. But I'll keep working on it. That's what I committed to. That's what I'm going to show you. I'll continue the time lapse trying to shape that end right now. Alright, I think this is as far as I want to finish it. There's one end, and there's the other. They're really rough, but you really can't do much with just a sharp rock. I was also able to find something I can use for the bow part of my bow drill. It's got a nice modest bend to it. It's not the strongest in the world, so that might cause a problem. Guess we'll see. It's about the length of my forearm, so I think that should work out just great. And I still, after all that work that went into this drill part of the bow drill, I think I'm going to try and find a different fireboard, something that's a little bit more ready to go. Let me see what I can find. There's some potential for the bark off of this dead pine to be dry enough and to be a good fireboard, but I'm not betting on it. Well, the bark isn't working out, but this piece right here, that is going to make a great fireboard. This has been driving me crazy all day long. But I've got my fireboard, which has since been split into a few different pieces, but I think I can still use it just fine. I've got some tinder that I found, an old favorite of pretty much everybody out there, some dried pine needles. This is also some old aspen bark, and it's got, I didn't realize it got so stringy, but this is almost like a coconut husk. I think it'll work really well as tinder. I found a stone that has a slight indentation there. It's really hard to find a stone like that you can hold in your hand that has an indentation, and it's not a very good one, but I think I should be able to use this as my pressure plate on top. Put some pressure there. So, these flies. If not, I did find this soda can. Looks like somebody was using it as target practice. If I were in a true survival situation, I'd be able to utilize this, but I'm going to hold off using it for now. So you really want, when you're doing your drill, you want to put a lot of pressure on top, and ideally you don't want any friction at the top, and you want all the friction to be on bottom. That's hard to do with natural materials, but I'm going to try and do it with this stone here. And if not, then that surface right there is going to be perfect for having pretty much no friction between the drill and my hand. So I've still got to assemble the bow here. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then I'll get started on my fireboard. You should see how many flies are on the camera. Okay, let's see here. So, just pull it tight. Okay, about right there. I'll probably take up a little bit more slack just to make sure that that drill is going to be held nice and tight. Alright, see what we got. Just go ahead and roll it on there. There we go. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Nice and tight. First thing I want to do on my fireboard is to start a pilot hole. Usually you would just go ahead and make a little notch with your knife, or in this case I'm going to use one of my rocks, and I'm just going to start a little hole just to guide the bit of my little fire drill. Now before I start actually trying to get a little bit of an ember going, I need to have all of my tinder materials ready to go in a bird's nest. but I'm not doing that right now. I'm just gonna burn this in first, and I'll show you how to do that. To be quite honest with you, I never really understood why this step was necessary, but I'm following the instructions of how I learned it from my instructor. So take your fireboard, step on it, make sure it's nice and steady, and then lean forward. And I like to support this arm around my leg there, so it's nice and sturdy. And then take your drill there, get your pressure stone, and alright, here we go. Let's start burning it in. Start out slow, try and get a rhythm. Yeah, I can already tell this stone is going to be extremely difficult to work with. It just really is going to be extremely difficult to work with. Yeah, it's slipping off. Okay, I'm going to jump to this soda can. Looks like this can is not working out as well as I thought it would. Okay, this is a joke. Okay, I'm getting dug in here, but I'm already noticing something that's not going to work out. So on my fireboard, it's too thin. By the time I burn this in, I'm going to be all the way through it. That's not what I want. It's not going to work as a fireboard. This, it's too thin on the bottom. It's denting in, and when I press down on it, I'm pressing down on this portion, but you need to press straight down, so it's going like this. I'm going to try and put pressure on it. Exact same thing with this stone. It's not in the center, so when I push on it, it's trying to do this really hard to get any kind of pressure straight down. And then of course you add 10,000 flies. I just killed like 10 of them right there, and pretty miserable day. So I spent all morning trying to get this set up ready, and it's just not going to happen. So next time I'm going to try it with my knife, with my Leatherman, which I still have with me. And I'm pretty much done. I've been covered in flies for the last 8 hours, and it's driving me insane. So lessons learned today, be prepared with a knife for sure. I think I would have had a lot easier time, especially making this drill with a knife. Oh man, it would have been so much easier. You got to come out and practice your skills. So hopefully I'll do another one of these videos. This won't be a total loss. Right in my mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can count 12 flies on the front of the camera there. Holy cow. I've never seen flies like this before in the mountains. Big old splinter too. Dude. Holy cow. Done. I'm done. I'm done, dude. Oh, this is biblical. Holy cow. Alright. Okay, I learned some lessons today. It is so much easier when you have a knife. So whenever you have a survival show and they always start out, oh yeah, you know, I only have a knife with me. A knife is so useful. It just puts you miles and miles ahead of where you'd be otherwise. It took me a really long time to do that with the stone, and it's not ideal. And what else? What other lessons did we learn today? It's always good to be prepared for bugs. How do you do that when you don't have bug spray? I don't want to do this, but if I were in a survival situation, I'd be taking off this shirt, still be having my undershirt, and then wrap the other shirt around my head. And that would give me some relief from these flies constantly buzzing around me. It's also helpful if I keep moving around. Every time I stop, they tend to accumulate. So I've definitely learned some lessons. The fireboard was not working out because I realized after drilling into it a little bit, it was going to drill right through this. It's too thin. I'd probably want at least twice as thick, maybe even a little bit more than that. Probably about as thick as my thumb. I think I did a pretty good job on my tinder collection. This is extremely dry, lots of surface area. Pine needles are not ideal to take a coal, because when you have a coal, it's just a smoking ember, and you want some really, really fine stuff. They call it making a bird's nest. You want some ultra fine stuff to be able to take that coal, and then you blow it up, it gets smoky, you build that heat, and then it goes to a flame, and then the pine needles are great. I think I can use this one because it's already got a pretty good split down the middle, so I just need to shatter that in half. It's still pretty thick, but I think I can shave that down with maybe another rock if necessary. So these are the shoes I had up there. Ooh, it can be tough. Started to form a little bit of ash there, but now I've got to cut a notch. Once I get this a little bit bigger, Found this rock in the yard instead. I think this is going to be a lot better than that other one I had. This one. This one's too small. Alright, I just need to collect some stuff for tinder, and then we should be ready to start the fire. Just start out slow. I guess it's good that I didn't get it going in that last take because the battery was running out on the camera. I'm getting too much slippage. There's too much slippage. Oh, too much slippage. So this shoelace is about to break. It's getting really thin, so I'm going to use the other shoelace. Alright, I had to reposition because the camera overheated, so hopefully it doesn't overheat again. Oh, cool. Alright, let me give it one last try. Still no coal. I think we got it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's smoking. I'm just going to make sure that that coal stays intact. The wind's picking up right now, so it might blow it out. I'm just going to let it go for a little bit. See? Okay, good. Now I'm going to get my bird's nest. I'm going to drop that coal in. I seem to have ran out of bird's nest. Oh, and I got a lot of smoke in my eye. Alright, let's go get more bird's nest. One thing I was noticing is my bird's nest is so small, as I was blowing into it, my hands were burning up. Oops. Seemed to have destroyed any coal I had. Dude. There's our coal. Alright, I've got an even bigger and fluffier bird's nest here. Let's see if I can get it this time. Do we have a coal? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Very fragile one. Oh. We go out. Okay, no coal. No coal. My drill can't keep up. Okay. All right, I got this. We're still rolling? Okay. Hopefully the camera doesn't overheat. Here we go. Giant bird's nest. You gotta be kidding me. Are you kidding me? And that is where dreams go to die. Wow. And there you go. Okay. So that is the difference between having to do a friction fire and having a ferro rod. Took all of 10 seconds. Versus like 8 hours of collecting. Makes a world of difference.